Hi there and welcome to an all-new series. As you can see, yes, we are at home, which means we haven't violated any social distancing rules. And throughout the series, we'll be talking about all things automotive. We know these videos look a little bit different to what else we have on our channel, but we are trying our best to bring you exciting and engaging content while we're at home.
Yeah, think of it as your motoring fix while you're stuck at home, just like us. And let's call it physical distancing because we want to still be social with others, but just stay home,
virtually.
stay safe. Yeah. So, like today, we're gonna start with this episode. It's a new way of me and Zaran giving you our different opinions on all things automotive and car related. Today, the topic will be simple. I want to ask Zaran about the most memorable reviews we've done through the past year. I'm going to pick two reviews to talk about and let Zaran talk about two other reviews. So Zaran, I'll give it to you first. Tell me, what's the first memorable review from the past year you remember?
In recent memory, the most memorable car for me has to be the Nissan 370Z Nismo.
Oh. Yes, yes. By the way, it was on my list, but I didn't pick it. So good thing you did. So, okay, tell us, why is that memorable to you?
I mean, like I said, when we were filming the 370Z Nismo, right? Like I've driven the 370Z, I think twice before we drove the Nismo. And every time I get into the 370Z, it just brings a smile to my face. It's one of those cars that is so old school, you know, there's no fancy tech on it. There's no Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, no drive modes, nothing cool or new age about it. It's what old sports cars were. It was just raw, it's engaging, and I just think it's perfect the way it is.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like, actually, if you think about it, and that, like, a lot of people might say that it's a negative, that car is what, 10 years old now?
More maybe.
Almost 10, more than 10 years old. It's been the same car, maybe a little facelift here and there. Shape of the lights might have changed maybe twice in 10 years or something, but like, forget about tech, forget about like customizing your driving options even. Forget about everything you would look at in a 2020 car. The raw experience you get from driving the 370Z, and we were lucky enough to drive the Nismo version, which like just lifts that driving experience from amazing to spectacular, I think, because it hardens up everything. The chassis is hardened up, the suspension is specific for the Nismo, a new exhaust system that maybe adds a little bit of more, like what, 15 horsepower or something, but like it was the experience of driving that car is something I really, really missed. Especially in this time where you get manufacturers trying to like shove in everything into a car. Like you get these sports sedans, sport coupe SUVs,
sport SUVs,
where they think like, yeah, we can give you fun to drive, thrill, and with everything else, you get practicality, you get space for your family, space for your stuff, tech and whatever, and they just overcomplicate things, right? With the 370Z, it was just like you feel the whole car. When it was like a sketch, it was built around like, what would a car be like if it was just thinking of like pure engagement and thrill and fun, right?
Correct. I mean, you know what, like nowadays, modern cars, they try to be everything. It's kind of like that saying, like jack of all trades and king of none. You know, they do so many things well, but nothing great. The 370Z, it does just one thing. It's like it wants to give you a great driving experience, and that's all it cares about. And that's what it does.
And forget about practicality. Like I remember, like even simple things like The boot is small. There's no back seats.
Yeah.
Even the placeholders in the doors fit nothing. Like you can hardly like even put a laptop there. There's no place for your mobile phone.
Correct.
They didn't even think about that. They were just thinking like, how can we like deliver driving pleasure? It's not performance even. It's like the numbers on paper, they are not like, oh, amazing, especially now. Like I can list off 10 different SUVs now that can beat the numbers of this car.
True.
But like the feeling you get when driving it and pushing that naturally aspirated engine to like 7,400 RPM, and like then the shifts come at that like high rev. Oh
yes.
My God.
Yes.
Oh my God. And I gotta like mention the thing that I miss the most in these modern cars, which is the hydraulic steering. The hydraulic steering. Man.
Yeah, the amount of feedback that thing gives you. It actually feels like a go-kart. Like you feel exactly what the wheels are doing. And it's very quick. It's so quick.
Yeah,
like
you feel every move that the car is doing, even in the chassis itself. Like when the car is like trying to manage the bends and whatever, you like everything is telling you exactly where everything is happening in the car. The suspension, every bump, every twitch in the road is there like in your hands. So you exactly know what you're doing and what the car is doing. And like going back to like these, you see the problem with like hydraulic versus electric steering. Like hydraulic steering has been around for so long that they have perfected that feeling and the feedback you get from it. Like electric steering has been around for years, I know, but like they are on the way to perfecting that. But it's a shame that we lose hydraulic steering. And now they already perfected hydraulic. It's like, why are we losing it specifically in cars that are meant to be sports cars, right?
I guess because that's the thing, right? Most people don't want such a hard sports car anymore. They're changing, and that's why we see so many sports cars that are a mix of everything. They're focusing on fuel efficiency. Since when did matching fuel efficiency become a criteria in a sports car? But it has. And that's why I think they're going for the electric steering.
I don't know, man.
You and I disagree, but unfortunately, that's what like the
you say it's what people want, but okay, I want to put this to a test. Like, guys, you're watching this right now. In the comments below, please tell us: do you rather having like? And I'm not saying canceling SUVs and whatever we reached now. But would you rather having like a Nissan Z in every showroom? Like, so every brand would have a pure driving experience, thrilling car in their range. I'm not saying like dump whatever you did now, but at least keep one that still has that. And I think they'll find people who would actually buy these cars. I know they always go for mass. I'll go for mass. I want to sell like as much as I can, and that's why they do this. But like, keep something for us, people who enjoy like driving and stuff. So,
reminds me
anything
of like,
else you want to add to the 370Z?
I can keep going on about the 370Z, but this will become into like a 4-hour video. So let's go on to what's your first pick. What's the most?
And that's why you know what? Wait. You know what? We should actually have a separate episode about the 370Z, and we're gonna do that in the future because we can go on and on about this car. Yes, Khalas, let's do that. Tell us, would you like a separate episode about the 370Z? Okay,
we've
so
already
now
got the
I'll
review
move to
out, but this is just us talking about it.
yeah, and we're gonna keep the links to the full review in the description below, and maybe on the top of the screen you can click it now to watch our full reviews in both Arabic and in English. So I'll keep on the theme of fun and thrilling with my first choice, and it's a bit different because this one is like, it was a surprise to me since we drove the regular car and then we got the chance to drive this modified one, which was even more amazing. And it's the Abarth 595, that little pocket rocket, man. I gotta tell you, like we reviewed the Fiat 500,
Yes.
the regular one, and I remember like before we reviewed the car, I was like, who buys such a thing? Like, small, tiny. For me, it was like exactly chic style, fashionable, but it never meant fun to me at all. But when I drove even the Fiat 500, and once I got over the whole, like, there's a learning curve with the car. You have to get used to, especially that automated manual transmission.
Correct.
Once you get above that learning curve, you just enjoy it. And getting the Abarth, like that elevated the whole fun factor by 10 times.
I remember
the car hits.
I didn't get to drive the Abarth 595, but I remember it because I remember you just talking about it nonstop while you drove it. And I remember the way that thing sounded. It was the first time I'd ever heard such a small engine make such a, throaty roar to it. And I was like, are you sure that's a 4-cylinder? Because it sounds like it had a deep growl to it. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. Because it's because of that. So they fit it with a exhaust system. It's called the Record Monza exhaust, and it's from Abarth itself. So it's not like a third party or whatever. And of course, it's called the Record Monza because they're trying to, like, it's one of the things that I even loved about the car. It's like once you get it and you start reading about the whole heritage of like Abarth and the founder Carlo Abarth and what he did and how he managed to like, this guy just modified Fiats to race them. That's his main goal. He wasn't thinking like, I modify it to make money and like to start this whole modification process so Fiat can sell more exciting cars. No, that guy was all about racing, and to like know about him and know about the heritage and connect the parts of the car with the heritage that added a lot more to the experience of the car. Like, I would give you an example. Like, why do people buy these expensive supercars? They buy it for like getting attention, getting a thrill when you drive it, and because it's part of a heritage, right? And that little car, which is like what it was around, remind me of the price.
Something around 130.
130 something. Yeah, I think it's even cheaper now. It hit all of those points perfectly. It's like, I remember like I have a coffee shop near my house, and before going to work, I usually park the car in front of it, go pick up a coffee, drink it, and then just head to work. I parked that car in front of the place, and everybody who passed by the car was looking and like, what is that? What's that scorpion logo on the car? And
it was bright yellow. That's probably why they were looking at it.
Yeah, that's one. The color, the badge, the way it looks really different from a regular Fiat. It added to the whole experience of like you owning the car, or just even like me just driving it for a couple of days. And then you step in. It's very minimal inside. There's not a lot of tech again. It's enough tech. It's like 2020 tech. You get like the nice touch screen and like Bluetooth and whatever.
Right.
You get buttons for the automated manual instead of a stick. Of course, pedal shifters, a little digital instrument cluster. So the car like delivers when it comes to like what you expect in a 2020 car. But add to that the sound, the feedback, driving it like that is a go-kart on the road. It's a legal go-kart.
That thing is literally the size of a go-kart as well, though. That's
yes. And talking about size, remember one of the things I added in the review is like, when it comes to practicality, it does have 4 seats, but you're sharing the back seats with your spare tire. So
yeah, because the boot was so small. I remember that you couldn't even put the spare tire in the boot. So it was on
doesn't
the back
fit.
seat.
So yes, the spare tire doesn't fit in the back seat. Suspension is so stiff that you can feel every bump in every road. But like Sheikh Zayed Road, which normally for us is like ironed,
Yeah.
Felt so bumpy in that car, but it doesn't matter because like the engagement and fun you get. Like I will never forget that little car ever again. Like if it like if I had to choose a second car, like a weekend fun car to buy, that's a perfect choice for me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
So move on.
Let's
What's
move
your
on.
third choice?
My other choice is actually very, very different to the Nissan 370Z. Like so far, you know, we've both, I don't know if you want to call it luck, but we both picked sort of performance-oriented cars. But my second choice is not performance-oriented whatsoever.
Okay.
It's the
All right.
Lincoln Navigator.
Whoa. No, wasn't on my list for this at all. Like if we were talking SUVs maybe, but most memorable. Yeah, but maybe you have a point. You have a point. Let's hear it. Why did you choose the Lincoln?
You know, because it really, really surprised me. And that's why I'm going to put it on this list of most memorable reviews. Because like a few years ago, if someone said, oh, I have an American SUV, it didn't matter like what brand they were talking about specifically. But an American SUV, the stereotype was usually a big car that was not built very well and had a lot of plastic. This was the stereotype, and they pretty much all had that in common, all the American SUVs. And then this new Navigator came out, and it really, like, seriously, it changed the game. It was, it was built so much better. It looked so much nicer. It had brilliant, like, you know, the quality was just, like, we had never seen that in an American car before. And what I loved about it is, you know, like every country, whatever you want to say, origin in the automotive industry is related to something. Like the Chinese, for instance, the Chinese, they've mastered affordability. They can give you the cheapest cars in the market. The Koreans have mastered like features and technology and value for money. You've got the Germans who give you performance. You've got the Japanese who will give you reliability.
Reliability, yeah.
And it was the first time that the Americans could actually say that, you know what, we've mastered luxury. And that is what the Navigator has, the new Navigator. If you ask me, actually, the new Navigator is what the Navigator should have been all along.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like my issue with Lincoln, if I can call it an issue, is that usually Lincolns, like you see a Lincoln on the road, and because we know cars, it's like you can directly name, that's that Ford, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's like the Ford, but like given a Lincoln badge, and like maybe they add better leather inside, and that's it. It's like in your head, you never think of a Lincoln as a separate brand. Like you think now of Infiniti, I think like managed to do that. Lexus, of course. Yeah, Lexus managed to do that. And maybe Genesis on the way, right? So that they're trying to totally separate the luxury brand from the regular brand and just like kickstart a whole new brand. I think this new Navigator for me, when I drove it, was their first step towards doing that. That you see it and you can feel like, yeah, this could be a totally different car. It has nothing to do with other Fords. And as you said, the quality is like bar to other luxury brands, with keeping in mind, like this is a huge 8-seater.
Yes.
With so much luxury, so much equipment, and still the price point is so much less than the German cars, right?
Exactly.
So you are getting some value for money with it as well.
Correct.
And it does turn heads. Like I can remember, I love in these videos, I'm gonna love telling stories because I usually go to dinner to a restaurant. I'm not gonna name the restaurant so I don't give them an ad. So the restaurant has a valet parking service, and usually I go with, if it's a car that I can trust the valet drivers to drive, it's fine, I go with it. When I took the Lincoln Navigator, and I took so many cars there, right? When I came out to pick up the car from the valet after I had dinner, the guy at the valet was like, wow, this is such a nice car. And I drove much nicer cars to that place. I can tell you, I'm not going to name them so I don't shame them, but like the Lincoln just like because of the design inside and the color. Remember the color of the car?
Yes.
I remember it was called, what was it? The Yacht Club or something?
Yeah. Marine Yacht Club, Blue Yacht Club. I don't
Yes,
remember the
yes.
name, but yeah. It was blue. It was
It
like
was
a
blue from the
very
outside, blue leather inside.
correct.
Yes,
Blue and white,
and with
and with that wood
white
trim.
wood,
Yes.
white wood trim.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So it like really like when he stepped in, I think he was like, "Wow, what is this?" So yeah, it did like leave and attracted that guy and left a mark in his mind that this is special.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point with the Navigator. You want it to be
Different.
special
Yeah.
on the road, special on the road, special inside, special for all your passengers. And one thing I can mention as well on the Navigator, dude, remember the amount of comfort you got in the front seats?
Yeah. That was the first car we drove. It remember it had like some 32-way adjustable seat. You
Exactly,
could like control
exactly.
every part of the seat to take
Yes,
your
yes,
shape.
like yeah, I remember the front seat, even the tilt had like two separate buttons where you can
Yes.
tilt the whole seat, and then there's a separate
Patch.
part that
Yeah.
tilts, yes, a separate patch that tilts separately. And the sides and the front, and like, yeah, maybe 35 even. I can't remember how many movements you got, but like it was super comfortable, super comfortable.
What's your
But
last pick
how,
though?
my last pick, I didn't go as far as you and pick a weird big SUV,
Okay.
because I stuck to memorable to me because, and remember guys, these aren't the best cars. We're not talking best or anything. It's just something that's memorable to us because of the reason.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
go back,
an
I'm
easy
gonna
way to
go
do
back
it
to,
is a car that
yeah,
surprised
yeah.
us basically. That
Yes, because sometimes you, like when you drive a Ferrari, you expect it to be amazing, right?
and it is,
So it's not gonna,
but it doesn't
it
surprise you.
is, and it's not,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not gonna surprise you or like give you an epiphany. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, did you know that Ferraris can do this? Of course they can do this. But here's my second choice, and I mentioned Ferrari because it's related.
Mhm.
It's the Alfa Romeo. It's from Italy. It's this brand Alfa Romeo that we don't see a lot of on our roads, and it's a shame. Uh, they have a notorious reliability.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's a reason we don't see too many of them. It's
Yes,
because
yes.
of that
No,
reputation that they have.
that, exactly. They have a notorious reputation when it comes to reliability, and I cannot say anything about that because we just test drove the car for a couple of days. If any of you have driven Alphas for a long period of time, chime in the comments and tell us what you think. But here's the thing, like, so growing up, of course, I watched a lot of like car videos on TV, read a lot of articles, and every time a reviewer or a journalist talks about an Alpha, especially like in Europe, like they have such a passion about the Alphas, man. They
Yeah,
tell you
true.
like
It
if you
was
haven't driven an Alpha, you will never understand an Alpha and what it means. And I
true.
always found that weird because like Alphas aren't regular on our roads, like
Mhm.
they're not common. No one in my family like ever owned an Alpha, so I couldn't like ask people around me, not
True.
even friends and nobody. The only thing I knew that they look really good. I love the way they look, and their badge looks weird. And it needed translation. Let's say the badge always needed translation.
Yeah, but
But like we drove the Alfa Romeo Giulia,
mm,
and I was actually glad that we drove the super version. So it's your regular Alfa Romeo Giulia, nothing fancy. It's not a quadrifoglio or
no, it
one of those
was
with those amazing engines.
the
It
super
was
is
just
like the
your,
basic, the most the
yes,
entry level,
exactly.
like the cheapest
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo Giulia you can buy is called the super, and that's the
So
one they gave us.
so you so you're gonna ask me like, why do you mention it now? Because now I really understand what they mean about that alpha passion, man. Those cars are built again with so much passion for driving, and it's a pure pleasure driving that car, even if it's like, it wasn't super fast, it wasn't super fancy, it was just straightforward, like your, what was it, 220 horsepower big sedan.
Nothing
Yeah,
special
yeah, but
with power or anything like that.
Once you turn that steering wheel into that first bend and you start getting that amazing feedback from the whole car, man, you feel so involved in driving that sedan that you think, man, why isn't every sedan like this? Like, even I'm gonna piss off some German fans right now. It's like, even M cars from BMW, AMGs from Mercedes, like they should drive Alphas first, then go like build their cars. Because I know those cars are fast, fun, ridiculous, everything, but there's this feeling like you get so much. Yeah, it's engagement, and you feel the people who built that cars, like they had passion while building that car. So much passion was put into building that whole car and thinking about what experience you're going to get when you start driving it. That was the number thing they wanted to tick off their list.
There's actually another difference that now that you mentioned the Giulia, and that I just realized, that other manufacturers, like you were mentioning, Mercedes, BMW, their regular cars, like let's say the 5 Series or the 3 Series, they don't focus on driver engagement.
No,
if you want even the slightest bit of driver engagement, you have to go till the M's, you have to go till the M3s, the M5s, and like the same thing in Audis and in Mercedes. And those basic cars are more focused towards luxury, whereas with Alfa, there wasn't a whole lot of luxury, if you remember. It was like they had leather seats and stuff, but nothing over the top, nothing like, oh my God, wow. But the driving engagement and experience, there's no way that the Germans could come
even
close
the
to
tech
that.
was like straightforward. There was nothing fancy in the car at all.
Correct.
But the design, of course, like the way the car looks from the outside, from the inside, was amazing. Italian designs, they were awesome. Like at that point of time, like every other car had these screens that is stuck on the dashboard, right? And we got used to them. Like I hated them when they started off, but we got used to them, and they're like in easy reach place, and they're easy to look at. But like in the Alpha, they took the time to actually try to embed the screen inside the design of the cabin, which I really appreciated at that price point, which compared to the German cars, like the car was much cheaper again.
Correct. No, it was a special car, and I'm not surprised that made it onto your list of most memorable cars.
Yeah, and I remember when I talked in the verdict about that car, like one of the reasons I would buy it over a BMW or a Mercedes, because it falls in that segment, right? One of the reasons is like uniqueness. Like on our roads, a Giulia would be unique.
Correct.
Like think about how many Mercedes C-Class you see on the road. Think about how many BMW 4 Series or 3 Series you see on the road.
Yeah.
And then think about how many Alfa Romeo Giulias you see on the road. Like you're going to be in a very unique car that looks amazing. And that feels amazing to drive as well, even if you go for the lowest version of that car.
And that's the point I was coming to. I was like, we both were so impressed with the absolute basic version of that Giulia that I just can't imagine how great that Quadrifoglio, the top of the line, the performance-oriented version would be. And I kind of understand. I mean, we were not lucky enough to get to drive the car yet. But I mean, there have been other people who have driven the car, and especially if you see, international websites and stuff like that, and they all say one thing, that this Giulia Quadrifoglio is far better than an M3 or something from Mercedes, a C63 and things like that. And if you look at the most basic versions, it really isn't surprising, because if the basic car is so good, you can just imagine how much better the performance-oriented version is.
Exactly. So let's finish it off.
Yep. So anyways,
here.
yeah, that's all from us, folks. Stay tuned and we'll be bringing you more of these videos in the coming days.
Yes, I hope you like our, so this is like an afterthoughts and new opinions that we couldn't like rushly put into the review. And now like when you think about like these reviews and what kind of experiences, like we've like these ideas have matured more with you, right?
Yes.
When you're speaking about them now, it's like because you have experienced other cars and like maybe newer versions of these cars. So I hope you guys enjoy them, and as usual, stay home, stay safe, and see you soon.
See
Thanks,
you.
Zaran.
Bye-bye.
Bye.